On a windswept ridge, Noah scans the horizon the way any kid who grew up on the edge of the world would. Half curious, half worried, and absolutely convinced he's meant for something bigger. Noah's not trying to be hero material. He's just an ape with too many questions and a knack for pushing at the limits the elders set. That little restless spark is what sends him into trouble and into the heart of a conflict that's been simmering for generations. We meet Noah in the aftermath of a fragile peace. Apes live in clans, agriculture and ritual have taken root, and the memory of Caesar is mostly legend and law. Some sing his praises, others twist his name for power. Noah belongs to a rural tribe that tries to do things simply: hunt, farm, tell stories around a fire. He's close with a few friends and an older mentor who tries to temper his curiosity with cautious wisdom. You can tell Noah cares about his people, but he's itching to see more than their valley. When raids stung, brutal, organized strikes led not by humans but by a militant ape faction, the balance shifts. These raiders carry banners invoking Caesar's legacy in a way that's less about honor and more about domination. The leader of that faction, a charismatic and ruthless figure who claims to restore Caesar's rule, builds an empire out of fear. He forces other apes into servitude, takes captives, and uses ancient technology in ugly ways. That's the central threat, a promise to resurrect a past legend twisted into a justification for tyranny. Noah's life gets personal when his village is attacked. Folks he knew are taken, and a few find themselves enslaved or scattered. Noah tries to fight back and fails spectacularly, which is good now but painful then. He survives, but his missteps push him toward grudges and a need to prove himself. Along the way, he bumps into a small group of humans who've been surviving and hiding.
They're not the wreckage of civilization caricatures you sometimes get. These humans are rough, wary, and complicated. In particular, one human woman, let's call her May, forms an uneasy bond with Noah. She's a survivor who's seen enough cruelty to be guarded, but she also offers a perspective Noah's never had. Humans can be victims, allies, even the key to a future that's not just about ape supremacy. Noah and May's relationship isn't romantic in a glothy way. It's a practical alliance that becomes emotional. They trade histories. May tells stories of our ruined cities and strange machines. Noah explains the oral laws about Caesar and why some apes worship those laws like scripture while others weaponize them. These conversations matter because they lay bare the film's main theme: the danger of myth when people, or apes, stop questioning it. The plot doesn't preach, it shows. It shows how a heroic past can be used to justify present cruelty. On the road to confronting the raiders, Noah joins a ragtag resistance, friends from his village, a few skeptical elders, May and her human allies. The journey is more than scenery, it's a schooling. They cross forests that feel alive, ruins of human cities that are eerie because they're both domestic and alien, and small pockets of civilization where apes try to recreate what was lost. Each stop tests Noah, his bravery, his ethics, his leadership. There are small wins: rescuing prisoners, sparking rebellions in towns under the raiders' thumb, and mounting losses that show the cost of resistance. The antagonist, again the one cloaking violence in Caesar's mantle, is as much a political operator as he is a battlefield commander. He's effective because he speaks a simple language: order and fear. Some apes, exhausted by chaos, want that promise of strong leadership, even if it means surrendering freedom. Noah, who grew up hearing both the noble and ugly sides of Caesar's story, refuses the extremism. This ideological clash becomes personal when the leader kidnaps people from Noah's tribe to work a massive, grim project that uses salvaged human tech. The project is emblematic: repurposed machines that turn living beings into tools.
It's a visual reminder of how easily progress can be perverted. Pacing-wise, the movie balances quiet character moments with big set pieces. A stealthy rescue here, a violent skirmish there. These scenes keep the stakes tangible. One standout sequence involves sneaking into a heavily guarded compound where ape enforcers use human tech to surveil and subjugate. The team improvises, uses old-world electricity to create distractions, and it's right on the edge of pulpy fun and genuine suspense. The choreography is tight, and it underlines an important point. Improvised solidarity beats centralized terror, most of the time. As Noah moves from reactive to proactive, he has to make leadership choices that cost him. He makes a strategic mistake that puts a child and May at risk. That misstep is the kind of moral wobble that keeps him human, or ape-human in this case. He wrestles with the guilt and the consequences, which is where the film's emotional center beats strongest. It's not the spectacle, but the toll. Communities fractured, people grieving, Noah's realization that good intentions don't exempt you from blame. There's also political nuance. Not all apes in the antagonist's camp are true believers. Some are opportunists, others are scared families hoping to survive. Noah uses that to his advantage, cutting deals where he can, appealing to the shared memories of Caesar that speak of compassion as much as command. He gives speeches, messy, imperfect speeches that echo Caesar's words without copying them, and he attracts followers who want freedom more than a myth. That's the film's hopeful heart, a new social contract built from questioning old gods.
The human element, while not enormous, is essential. May and her people reveal that humans have not been wholly erased. They've adapted, but they're no longer the architects of the world. Some human enclaves are hostile, others are open to cooperation. The relationship between species is complicated, but not hopeless. The film smartly avoids painting humans as a singular archetype. Instead, it shows fractured communities with different agendas. That keeps the story from devolving into simplistic revenge plots and adds texture to Noah's choices. The climax centers on a siege where Noah leads an assault on the Raiders' stronghold. It's not an all-out blockbuster battle every second. There are stealth elements, moral dilemmas about who to save first, and last-minute tactical moves involving human tech used against the oppressor. The film doesn't shy from loss. Friends die, plans go sideways, and Noah pays dearly. Yet the siege also offers catharsis. The antagonist is brought low not simply by brute force, but because his narrative cracks. When exposed to the truth, some followers defect, and the moral authority of his claim to Caesar's legacy collapses. In the final act, we get resolution and a grim awareness that cycles of violence don't evaporate overnight. Noah's victory is both triumph and question mark. He liberates communities and dismantles the machinery of the tyrant's rule, but he's left with the hard work of building, which is always more tedious than winning fights. The film closes on an ambiguous but hopeful note. Communities are rebuilding, humans and apes cautiously cooperating, and Noah reflected in a quiet moment, older maybe by experience, still a little impulsive, but wiser. There's a small, almost tender sequence where children listen to stories about Caesar that are now told with more nuance. That image captures the film's argument. Remember the past, but don't worship it. Tonally, the movie juggles weighty themes and accessible adventure. There are moments of humor, mostly small, character-driven bits like Noah fumbling with a human object, or an elder ape lecturing him about decorum, that keep the narrative human. The film doesn't condescend to its audience. It assumes you can handle complexity and still want spectacle.
The visual language does a lot of the heavy lifting. Rural apes with handcrafted tools, urban ruins with eerie human artifacts, and large set pieces that remind you these aren't your typical fantasy animals, but characters molded by culture and memory. A few scenes linger, an elder telling a bedtime story that suddenly becomes a crucial lesson, a scavenged human library offering a painful but useful map to the past, and an interrogation sequence where truths come out that reframe motivations on both sides. Those are quieter beats, but they resonate because they inform the big moments. The film trusts its audience enough to let revelation happen through conversation and small discoveries, rather than exposition dumps. By the end, Noah's arc completes in a satisfying way, without being sugary. He moves from an impulsive questioner to a leader who still questions, and that's key. Leadership in this story is not about issuing orders, but about holding communities together while they decide their future. That's a grown-up version of the hero saves the world idea, and it's refreshing. The final images are redemptive but guarded. People planting crops, children learning to read, May and Noah sharing a quiet exchange that suggests mutual respect and hope for coexistence. If there's a critique, it's that the film sometimes leans on familiar beats: the charismatic tyrant, the scrappy resistance, the salvage of human technology trope. But it redeems those through character depth and moral complexity. The antagonist isn't just evil for evil's sake. His rise is relatable in a chilling way, because fear and nostalgia can make people accept brutal solutions. And the film uses that to ask a question we don't often get in blockbusters. What do we inherit from our heroes?
and how do we keep their best parts without repeating their mistakes? Overall, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes lands as a thoughtful, entertaining chapter in the franchise. It gives you action, emotional stakes, and a political parable that feels relevant without hitting you over the head. Noah is a winning protagonist because he's flawed and learning, and the supporting cast adds texture rather than just padding. The ending won't erase the past, but it suggests that progress comes from hard work and honest conversation, not from reconstructing idols. It's a message that's both modest and meaningful, and after the last battle, it's the kind of ending that makes you want to stick around to see the rebuilding, because watching people plant the future is strangely rewarding. So yeah, it's an adventure, but it's also a reminder. Legends can guide us, but only if we keep asking why we follow them in the first place. And Noah? He walks off into a future he'll have to build, and you get the sense he's up for it. Stubborn, hopeful, and a little bit wise for his years. Not a bad legacy to start with.